So today we're gonna run the power out to the workshop. We're doing a 50 amp breaker box. We're gonna put it on the exterior backside of the shop and run the line straight up to the house. So it'll be nice. We can start to configure where we wanna get all the outlets and where we want our lighting and all that kind of stuff. So I started out by digging a trench from the existing box on the house around the shed out to the back of the new shop. And then I believe we ran a number 6 wire through conduit up into the new building, into the new box. All right, so we're wiring up a 50 amp breaker box. We've got everything mounted right now. So we've got the breaker box mounted. We've got our outlets all the way around with our light switches. So we're just starting to run all the wiring right now and get everything done. So as I said, we went ahead and ran the wiring to the outlets, lighting, and switches. This is not going to be a tutorial for an install, just wanted to touch on what we did. All right, what's going on? So today is the day I'm gonna start all the insulation in the walls and hopefully get some plywood up on the walls, and I can start closing everything in. We got the electrical all run last weekend. Sorry, this is Bailey, by the way, best pup in the world. Got the electrical run all last weekend, super happy. We got outlets everywhere. We ran light switches for exterior lights, interior lights, wire for all future lighting that we might add in the ceiling and things like that. Super happy with that. So now we can start closing in the walls. So originally I was looking into the best ways to insulate, and I think it's obvious with the metal buildings that the best way to insulate is spray foam. But unfortunately in my area, spray foam insulation is gonna run right around $4 grand, something like that. And for a garage and for the cost of the build, it just didn't make sense. So I'm gonna do what a lot of people do, which is that kind of next budget step, which is foam board insulation. I'm gonna do it a little bit different than I've seen online. I'm in Florida, so there's a lot of humidity and heat. A lot of the people that I find are in cooler climates, so they're trying to actually heat this space where I'll be trying to cool it all the time. So I'll kind of go through and break down my thoughts and from my research. Again, I'm not a professional. But I'm quite sure the way we do it, it sounds right, should work, and I'm sure it'll be better than no insulation, right, at the end of the day. Yeah, I got 1-inch foam board, Artec insulation paneling. So it's 1-inch thick foam board. It does have a radiant barrier. I'm gonna basically use that to try and deflect a lot of the heat here in Florida, off the walls and back out. I'm coming up with a little system to use this. Here's about 20 sheets of plywood that I got. Plywood right now is outrageous. This is 1/2-inch plywood that I'm using, nothing fancy, but right now in my area, it's about $38 a sheet. I was able to score these at about, I think, $13 a sheet from somebody off a job they finished and had leftover. And then these are the 1x4s by 10 that I'm basically going to string along the walls so that I have something to attach the plywood to. All right, so the idea behind this is you've basically got a 2.5-inch wall cavity. So by using the 1-inch foam board, that's actually going to leave an 1.5 inch air gap all the way up. In case there's ever any type of condensation, I mean, I'm gonna mainly be cooling and the heat will be on the outside, but if there ever was any condensation, it will allow the air travel to sort of dry everything out, and it'll never be pressed right up against that foam board. So here's a video from up top. So basically what I was saying is it's a 2.5-inch wall cavity, 1-inch foam, and that leaves a 1.5 inch air channel behind this foam board. So all the way down to the ground, there's gonna be an 1.5 inch air channel allowing airflow up through the ceiling, behind that 1.5 inch that I'll have up there, and then out. And then on each end, there's an outlet there. You can see where the sun is shining through. I'm just gonna put some screen and allow that to become a channel. And then straight up here, there's also a way for heat to escape all the way down to the other end. So we're gonna run the plywood and the insulation up against these flat rafters right here. So there will be like a 12-inch channel right here across the center that should allow all that hot air to come up and then go out or out each end is the idea. All right, so here's the first section done. So basically these foam board panels come in the same size as like a sheet of plywood, 4x8. So I added an extra 8.5-inch strip. That way it's a nice tight fit, giving it about an extra 1/2 inch than the actual dimensions. So it's wedged in there really tight to the point where it actually bows out a little bit. And then I went through and I just did foil tape all the way down, that nice tight fit across the bottom and up the other side. Where I needed to, this is gonna be wood bracing for where the 1x4 comes across and meets in a corner. I've got some wood pieces that I've kind of bolted into the wall just to give me something to mount to. So I've foamed and taped over that. At the bottom, you've got the lag bolts. So the lag bolts I did a cutout and I'm just gonna spray foam those. That way everything's nice and tight. So I went ahead and cut all my foam board sheets to fit using foil tape and spray foam when needed to seal up all the gaps. From here I went ahead and started using the 1x4x10s and framing everything out, getting it ready to install the plywood sheathing. Then next up was the actual plywood. Went pretty smooth. I did have to notch out around those little angled sort of braces and measure out for all the outlets. But you know, once you got it down, got a little system going, it went pretty smooth. I did end up using a 1x4 as a spacer on the bottom underneath all the plywood sheets. That way it kept it that 3/4 of an inch up off the ground. From that point on, I went straight into painting. Just finished 2 coats of paint. Valspar Perfect White. Just some caulk and some cleaning up and we're all done for now. Went ahead and sealed the concrete floors. I used an Eagle Coat product that had some great reviews here on YouTube. It was easy to apply, pretty inexpensive, and should make cleaning things off the floor really easy in the future. I was really happy with that finished result. Built some wood planter boxes for the exterior along with some wood detailing. Just trying to give it more of a residential look. If you keep up with the channel in the future, we still have plumbing, the ceiling to insulate and finish along with lighting, and a mini split system that we're going to put in to try and keep this thing cool.